Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned to the MC Lars podcast. It is Monday, March 30th. This is episode 83 with Ben Garbe of the former Fat Boys, brought to you by the following generous Patreon Larsons. Shout out to the new ones who just signed up, Adam Brindle, Amanda, and Graham Eberhardt. And shout out to the old ones, Thomas Piuchich, Alex Perkins, and Dylan Bertolo. Thank you very much. Y'all keeping it going. I appreciate everyone signing up. A lot of artists are in the same boat. You know, some of our income comes from shows. I was lucky that my tour was over before all this happened, but I have missed at least one show and some stuff is being rescheduled. And, I appreciate the support and I appreciate y'all supporting the community. That's all I'll say about that. This Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern, noon West Coast time, I'm doing a Stage It concert with guitar, projection videos behind me, green screen, rapping. It's going to be tight. It's going to be donate what you want, and it's going to be the live to your home MC Lars experience. You don't even have to leave the house because you can't leave the house because we're all quarantined, practicing social distancing. But I'm socially resisting with this concert to bring music to you. So be sure to check that out. I'll be posting about it on the social media. I've been playing Animal Crossing and my native fruit is peaches. People are asking me. And I realized Nintendo only lets you add so many friends. So I started adding everyone I know and I reached my friend limit. So if you sent me a friend request on Switch and I didn't add you, it's because I maxed out. I don't know. It's like Facebook. You can only have 5,000 friends. Like Nintendo Switch, you can only have like 100 friends or something. But I love you all and I want to connect with you on Nintendo. So maybe we can petition for Nintendo to allow more friends because friendship is tight. This week, I'm talking to Ben Garbe of the former Fat Boys. Now, this is a dude I've known forever. We met online years ago, but his house and his scene and his studio in Chicago has been a hub of nerdcore touring and performance and production in the Midwest for like 14 years. And he's had a bunch of different names. Senior Dinosaur, I Wish It Were a Dinosaur, former Fat Boys, Ben Garbe. In this episode, we talk about his forays into nerdcore, the time he toured with MC Chris, the time he was had a show that was going to be on MTV about him starting his nerd rap career. We talk about all the memories of old Nerdapaloozas, and we go deep on Star Wars and like where he feels like the new Star Wars movies jump the shark. So it's a really cool interview. I love Ben Garbe. He's a great friend. He was at my wedding. He is one of my favorite people, so it was fun to talk to him. We went and saw the Sonic the Hedgehog movie and then recorded the podcast the day before we played our show in Chicago, which was awesome. As always, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the MC Lars Patreon Larson of the week. That's what's up. This week we got Alex Reeves in Missouri. Take it away, Alex.
Hey, Lars and fellow Larsons. Hope everyone's doing well. I know things are kind of uncertain and weird right now, but hope everyone's staying safe and healthy. I've just got a few quick little stories to tell. The first one was the first time I actually got to see Lars. I think this was back in 2011. First show I got to catch of his. He was touring with MC Chris and Mega Ran and Adam Warrock. It was kind of a who's who of the nerdcore scene at the time, which was fantastic. They were doing a show at Mojo's in Columbia, Missouri, and I'll never forget, me and my buddy Nick drove from St. Louis, Missouri down to Columbia to catch that show, which of course was a fantastic time. I remember Lars was rocking the set with a full, like a backing band, which was awesome. I remember talking to him after the show, and I think at that time he had just released the Lars Attacks album, and he was talking about how proud he was of the album, how happy he was with how it turned out. I remember buying a copy and listening to it on the way home, and that was my first time getting to really experience his music before, much less in a live setting. Of course, the show was something like a Thursday night, so of course we had work the next morning. I think by the time we got back home, I think it was probably like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 a.m., so having to get up just a few hours later for work, but it was very much worthwhile. And then the second time I saw him was maybe a year or two later. He was touring, MC Lars was touring with I Fight Dragons and I think Sky Fox. And he actually came to St. Louis for the show, and I'll never forget there was a few local punk bands that also helped to open the show. And as a result, the audience very much had a very like a punk rock centric kind of audience to it, kind of feel to it. And MC Lars had no problem bridging that gap. You could kind of tell when he took the stage and he was plugging in his laptop, you could tell some of the audience members were maybe a little bit skeptical, like, what's this guy doing? What about who's the next opener? And when he started his set, you could tell that maybe there was a little bit of hesitation there, but like people were starting to warm up to it. And by the end of his set, you could tell he had won the whole audience over. Everyone was loving it. Everyone was vibing. And that to me is like the sign of a real talent, the ability to sway the crowd and win them over like that. I think it was fantastic. I know things are a little bit weird right now and a little bit uncertain, but once things clear up and once artists is able to get back on the road, I can't recommend it enough. Make sure to catch him live because it is truly a worthwhile experience. So thank you for doing this, Lars. Hope you guys stay safe and healthy, and take care, everybody. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Man, Alex, that show with Chris was so great. And the show with I Fight Dragons and Skyfox was great too. Thank you for coming to both. I hope we're back in Missouri soon. We always love playing St. Louis. And thank you for calling in. I mailed you your shirt. You'll get it shortly. If you want to be on the MC Lars podcast to share a story or a memory or a favorite song, you can sign up at patreon.com/MCLars. Then I'll give you the proprietary phone number and you could call in and get a special shout out and a free shirt. I want to announce that the Dewey Decibel System instrumentals and the Zombie Dinosaur instrumentals will be on Spotify soon. So be sure to check that out. I wanted to add that as bonus content as everyone is home, chilling, relaxing. I hope you're all getting better and hopefully this thing will be over soon, but it's just scary and it's taking a very long time to get through. And yeah, I'm just thinking about you all. I love you all. And thank you for your support and listening. Let's get into it. This is my interview with Ben Garbe of the former Fat Boys. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with a man. He lives in Chicago. He does a lot of projects. You may know him as Ben Garbe. You may know him as I Wish I Were a Dinosaur. You may know him as former Fat Boys. You may also know him as a dinosaur. What's up, Ben Garbe?
How you doing, Lars?
How long have I known you?
Oh, man, we met. When did MySpace go out of business? We met on MySpace.
Because former Fat Boys, what were some of the early tracks that may have been hip to?
Slumber Party.
So what's up?
Ho Touchdown.
What's that about? Football?
Yeah, it's about scoring.
Oh my
buddy
gosh,
one day
no.
was like, he was down at we had to figure out ways to talk about stuff in front of my grandma on spring break down at her like very conservative place in Florida. And he was like, yo, I got a way to say that we hooked up with a hot girl. And I was like, how? And he goes, Ho Touchdown. I was
right.
like, you scored.
What did your grandma say?
She thought that was lovely. She was dense when she had to be, but she was a very smart woman.
Where in Florida did your grandma live?
She lived in Naples.
That's what's up.
Yep.
Naples, which is down kind of near Fort Myers, south of Fort Myers.
A little south of Fort Myers, yeah.
I did a show
On the
there
Gulf Coast.
with Mega Ran recently.
Raheem?
Fort Myers. You know all the Nerdcore guys. You've worked
Shout out
with
to
most
Raheem.
of us. Shout out to Raheem. Shout out to Front a lot. Let's name some of the Nerdcore rappers you've recorded with. MC Chris's original DJ, DJ John. You worked with him.
Yep.
Whitey Cracker.
Yes.
K-Flay.
Sort of.
Beefy.
Yep.
Shaver the Dark Lord.
I've never recorded with him, but he's slept on things that I own.
Okay, but no one's been sleeping on your music. How about Adam Warrock?
No, we talked about doing a track before he sort of retired or whatever.
Well, how about you just name some of the other artists you worked with? Insane Ian?
Mustin has done some beats for me. Elijah Lucian up in Canada. Hardcore is kind of like my muse. If I could work with anybody, just always, he's like my favorite.
Yeah, he's tight. We did a song on your new album, Nerdvana, called Greedo Shot First.
Yep.
Wasn't Richie Branson on that?
No, Richie Branson is on a song that was on the I Wish I Were a Dinosaur album called I Wish Dude, and it's called Eating Pizza, Hunting for Ghosts, and it's one of my favorite tracks.
That's a
ever.
great song. Yeah, so you've done a lot of stuff. You've had many different projects, but you are smart enough to make your money not from nerd rap. You make a percentage of your income from it, but
Yeah.
you have other sources of income.
Yes, I make videos for a living for corporations and stuff.
Like, for instance,
Most of them, they're pretty confidential. But I've done like all kinds of corporate videos, wedding videos, viral stuff. Not for myself. I used to work for Playboy, and so cut a lot of videos for liquor companies. And
so do you work? So how do people come to you, or do you work for a company that then connects you with these brands that you do projects for?
a little bit of both.
That's what's up.
Well, actually, like it's more my company that I work for does more of that, but that's just because it's like,
What's the company, or is that secret?
yeah, it's secret.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So what did you major in college?
I got a degree in entrepreneurship.
Oh, shoot.
Which was at the time was a fairly new type of business degree that they were doing. I actually, when I graduated and was looking for jobs, I had somebody at a very big company sit down and say, "Oh, I see you're in entrepreneurship. We don't need any entrepreneurs. We already have a business." And I was like, "Are you the dumbest human?"
When you were applying for jobs?
Yeah, because people didn't understand it was you had an accounting degree, you were an accountant, or you finance degree, or you do finance.
Right.
They didn't know what to do with me. So
Right.
I kind of went in a weird way and started doing videos because I was making nerd music. And at that point, I had just come out of college. I tried out for this MTV show. It's actually a really embarrassing story. I tried out for this MTV show called The Reality Show, and they cast me on the show. And so I spent the entire summer after college sort of creating this sort of fake little reality show. And the premise of the show was that each contestant, they would film 1 or 2 episodes of your show, and they would show little chunks of it over the season. And each episode, people would vote on which show they wanted to keep going. And at the end of the year, if you won, your show got a whole season. So I was pretty excited. And they were creating reality. So they were like, "What concerts do you have booked?" I said, "None." And they're like, "Well, we need to get some." "What are you booked on any radio talk shows?" And they're like, I said, "No." And they booked me on B96 here in Chicago, which is the big hip hop station. And
As former Fat Boys?
As former Fat Boys.
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah. So it was surreal. The people were, friends were calling me up and they're like, "Hey, I saw you on MTV on this commercial for this reality show that's coming up. You were rapping in your booth covered in sleeping bags." Because I used to have this vocal booth that was made of PVC pipes and covered in sleeping bags.
Yeah.
And so I called up MC Chris and I said, "Hey man, listen, I need a show between these dates and these dates, maybe a couple of them. And can I connect you with these MTV people?" And that
You called him what? You MySpaced him?
Well, so I had done a show with MC Chris, a couple shows with MC Chris.
So you just straight up called his cell phone?
I think I emailed him.
Okay. That's what's
He
up.
had this manager, Paul, at the time. I think I might have talked to Paul.
Yeah.
But I helped him get a show. I worked at the radio station in Champaign in college, which is where I first heard your stuff, because we got the CD single for Ahab. Or not Ahab, Mr. Raven.
Yeah.
And I just went, whoever this guy is, I love this.
That's tight. What was the college you went to? Champaign-Urbana? Is that it?
Yeah, at University of Illinois.
Okay.
And so I worked at WPGU, which was a student-run. Students ran the on-air, but adults ran the rest of the station. So it was a pretty unique experience in radio. But I liked MC Chris, and so I helped his people book a show at the Canopy Club, and I promoted it like crazy, and they let me open for him. And that was the first concert I ever played. Sold out show at the Canopy Club, which 600-700 people.
Wow.
Which is not a good idea for your first show.
But you used to say when you would open for him, you'd sell out all your merchandise fast.
Yeah, I thought, I played that first show and I thought, oh, okay, so you do $500 of merch in a night. That's normal.
Right. Oh.
So anyway,
so did this show air or no?
So what happened was, MC Chris was really cool. He let me open for him in Milwaukee and Chicago on that tour. And I played a sold out show at the Double Door here in Chicago, which is a legendary venue that just closed. Had everybody, I think Nerdvana played there, Local H, like tons of cool people. So I got that experience from him, and then played a show in Milwaukee. And after the show in Milwaukee, okay, so sorry.
This is what, 2003, 2004?
2005.
Okay.
Summer of 2005. And so MTV was supposed to show up and film for like 3 days straight. And the day before they were supposed to come film, they were like, hey, we're not coming. We're not doing this. And I was like, okay, what do I do about all the stuff you booked? Like the interview on B96 and all this other stuff. And they're like, do it.
It was going to be a reality show about you as a rapper, internet rapper in
Correct.
Chicago.
Yeah, like doing my nerdcore thing and trying to make it bust through into the big leagues. And they were going to show my girlfriend and my parents. So my mom actually convinced my dad to rewatch. The only way she would agree to let MTV into our house was if he re-wallpapered the downstairs. So he got that done for her.
That's nice. What former Fat Boys is a reference because you used to be more fat as a kid.
Correct. I was a chunky kid growing up. I got picked on, beat up a lot, kind of like the typical nerd story.
When did you become this buff beefcake?
I lost like 80 pounds my sophomore year of high school because I didn't want to play line in football anymore.
How'd you lose 80 pounds?
I just started running, and I told my mom, I was like, "Look, Mom, my lunch started off. It was one of those double size bags of chips, so not the little sandwich bag size, but the double size, and a sandwich, a liter of cola or whatever soda, a Hostess fruit pie or other similar Little Debbie type treat, and like an apple." And I was like, "Mom, I want my lunch to be a small apple juice, a sandwich, and a piece of fruit." That was it. And I started running, and I stopped eating like anything garbage, and I just lost like tons of weight.
It's amazing that eating less and exercising, everyone talks about all these different kind of diets, but really that's the one that works. And it's like people compensate for, and I've done this in the past, when you're stressed or like trying to figure stuff out, eating more to try to feel better.
Oh yeah.
And that's really the simplicity of it. If you can orchestrate your life to eat less and exercise more, you're going to lose weight. And it might take a minute, but that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's less weight. I think the thing that's been interesting to me as I've tried to stay thin, because I think once you've been fat, it's very easy to get fat again.
Right.
And as my life has gone on, there've been different times where it's like things don't seem to work as well as they used to. So I found the slow carb diet, and then tried intermittent.
What's the slow
fast.
carb diet?
Basically, you cut. It's Tim Ferriss. It's from his book. What do you do? The 40-hour work or the 4-day work week?
Yeah.
4-hour work week.
Yeah, I've read that. Yeah.
So then he did this book called The 4-Hour Body, where he spent basically all the money he made on the 4-hour work week tweaking his body. And he figured out this diet that's it's paleo light. You can eat no dairy, no sugar, no carbs, and once a week you have a cheat day. And I put on I got cube fat when I was working at Playboy, because we just had all this free food and craft services and stuff. And so then I lost 40.
What was the term? Cube fat?
Cube fat. That's where you're sitting in a cube at work.
Yeah.
You're going out. There's donuts. There's
And
cube fat.
And so I remember you talking about intermittent fasting and this. You have a cheat day thing. Like you sent me an email about that years ago.
Yeah. So that was that was before intermittent fasting, and then intermittent fasting is what I've done now, where it's you try and eat during an 8-hour window during the day.
Yeah.
And supposedly your body then has a full 16 hours to process your food, and I'm used to eating one meal a day now, and I feel pretty darn good most days.
That's good, man.
So,
do you exercise too?
Yeah, I've been doing Chris Hemsworth's workout app. It's called Center.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about touring is when I'm home, I'm so disciplined. I have a routine. I'm good.
Right.
Then I'm on tour. I'm like, oh, you're so tired. You need that thing that's going to give you an hour of energy. It's often sugar. It's deep dish pizza or whatever. And it's there's so much good food across the country. And
Taco Bell.
All that flavor, dude. And so you gotta be good. So for those listening at home, Ben Garbe's recommendations, I'm going to use them too, and I like them too. You've always.
Wait, can I finish one thing?
Yeah.
So that MTV tour, right?
Sorry. Yeah.
So they canceled the filming,
right?
But they've still booked me on all these amazing things, and what they've told these people is that there's going to be TV cameras there. That's the hook to get them to let me come do this
cameras.
stuff.
So how'd they react when there weren't?
The B96 canceled the interview because they're the big hip hop station.
How'd they know that there weren't going to be cameras?
I told them when I walked in, and they were like, yeah, okay, bye.
Why'd you tell them?
They noticed there were no cameras there.
Why do you have a friend come in with like a little camera?
Because I didn't know what was going on. You're just embarrassed. Your world. I spent the whole summer like thinking, "Holy cow, this is going to happen!"
Right,
and then it didn't happen, and the show got canceled, and then I had to tell MC Chris, who was somebody that I was personally really close with, and he was really cool about it. He was just like, "Oh, okay," but you could kind of tell like him as John and his merch guy or whatever. They like believed it, but they were like, "Did you lie to us to just get on this show?" And I just
because they were going to film like he's opening for this guy, then
correct
part of his
yes,
set. Yeah.
And I felt I felt just so terrible.
Whatever. So they just the series just didn't happen, but former Fat Boys did. When did you come up with that name? Sophomore year in high school?
It was 2001. I was trying to be the lead singer in comedy bands, and I also wrote like love songs and stuff. And I kept signing up people to be in my band, and then I couldn't sing, I couldn't hit notes, but I thought I could, and I had this real ego about it, and I was kind of a jerk, and I regret some of that. But at one point, I did this joke rap song, and people go, "Hey man, that was really good. You should do that instead of this other stuff." And
What
I was
the
like,
song? What?
I was called "Going to the Zoo." I hope it's not out there anywhere. It was really terrible, and I mean, like it was terrible. It was nonsensical and just stupid, like fart jokes and stuff,
Right.
about animals. But I did that, and I did the song "I'm a Dinosaurus Roar Roar" for a contest on somethingawful.com. And people were like, "Hey, can you do that instead of singing? Because you can actually rap." And I was like, "I hate rap." But then I got it. But then I said, okay, like this might be the way that I get to tell a story or sing a song that people want to listen to. So I like sat down and I listened to tons of Jay-Z, tons of Eminem.
So you weren't like a huge hip hop fan. It was kind of like an experimental novelty.
Yes. And then I spent like a year or two basically like listening to, I don't want to say actual rap, but mainstream hip hop.
Actual rap.
And I basically taught myself all their flows. And that was sort of like how I developed my own flow, was mimicking theirs. And then you kind of like, you become this pastiche of their stuff.
Yeah. And then Lonely Island happened. And then becoming a comedy rapper was an actual thing. Before that, it was just like emulating the rappers we looked up to in a way that was passable. Right? That was like the shift. So, but the cool thing about your projects I've always loved is your ridiculous, sometimes purposefully offensive, creative videos, like in your political ones, like your Chick-fil-A one, where you're protesting their homophobia, or Shake Your Nis. That's another one.
Yeah.
You have a wonderful array of videos.
What is it? I Love Chicken and I Love Dick, which we spelled Dick, D-I-K, like their cows spelled chicken.
Right.
And I liked the concept on that because we did it right as Chick-fil-A was kind of getting hammered for being just disgraceful towards gay people. And
Did you ever hear from them?
I didn't. They were really friendly. We've basically filmed on Chick-fil-A property, and they were so lovely about it. It was.
Well, you just show. It's not like you had a film crew, right? You just camera and
we had a guy and a camera and 5 guys, and we're all shoving chicken in each other's mouth and wiping ranch dressing all over each other's faces. I don't know. They were lovely about it.
And then, so former Fat Boys. Did the Fat Boys like that you call yourself former Fat Boys, or do they care?
So at one point, God, what are the names of the Fat Boys?
Buffy, who passed, right?
Not Cool Modi. Prince
D. Wait, there's Prince Marky D.
Prince
and
Marky
Cool
D.
Rock Ski, and Buffy passed.
Buffy passed, right? So Prince Marky D. One of them lost a ton of weight. Might have been, I think it was Prince Marky D. He reached out to me on MySpace and said something like, "Hey man, it's really cool that you kind of like referenced us in the name of this." And I sort of didn't. We used to be fat. So I was like, "Oh, the former Fat Boys."
Well, Former. It should be formerly if you're grammatically correct, right?
Yeah, it just didn't. I don't know. Like, I was not thinking of them when I picked the name, though I was like somewhat aware in my like that there was a hip hop thing there. But I felt like that was a very hip hop thing. You just kind of like build on what's already there.
Lil Nas X,
yeah,
for example.
Right,
right.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's all just sort of like building on the culture that exists.
Right.
So he messaged me and he was like, I'm now a former fat boy. And he's like, it's crazy that I found you on MySpace and whatever. And he's like, I lost all this weight. Your rap project's really cool. Awesome. And I was like, wow.
And here's a free verse.
No. Well, I talked to him about doing a verse.
Yeah, he did what? Devo tried to hire him for a verse. They never did. And then he threw Devo under the bus on social media. That was the whole thing.
Yeah, so he came back to me a little while later and he goes, oh, I talked to my label owner, Uncle Fatso, or whatever his label was called. And we're going to sue you for the name. And I was like,
good thing the MTV thing didn't happen.
Well, what the hell? You reach out to me on MySpace to tell me it's cool. And then a little while later, when I don't buy a verse from you or anything, you just try and shake me down for the name.
And then what happened? Is that why you did Dinosaur Boys? And
he never did.
Yeah. I mean, it's a parody, right?
It's not a parody of them. It's three different words. I don't know. We're not, I don't market myself. I don't pretend that we were formerly the Fat Boys. We are former fat people. We used to be fat. I don't know.
What if you did Nirvana 2 or post Nirvana? I mean, yeah, I guess in a way you can.
I mean, I did. The new album is called Nerdvana, and it's it's a parody of the Nirvana Smile on it, and a lot of time went into changing the shape because Marc Jacobs got sued for borrowing that Nirvana Smile logo on a t-shirt. Now he didn't bother to change it at all. He just wrote an M and the J and the I's and basically kept everything else. Yeah. Which is we redesigned the entire head. So it looks like it, but it's a different shape. It's a different drawing entirely. And the font is not quite the same. So we wanted to like really make sure it was a parody because they're litigious.
Yeah.
So I might have done Nirvana too almost.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, you have it's cool. And the new album, I Have a Song with You, Burrito Shot First, which the video is going to come one day.
I think probably in the next month or two.
Really?
Yeah. It's not that far away from being done. There's two videos.
3 years ago. 4 years ago.
I guess we've ruined it for people, but there's a original, and then you're on the special edition, which is.
Oh wait, there's not it's the original. I'm not on.
You're not on the original.
Is that out?
That is out. They're both on the album.
No, but the video.
No.
Are you doing a video for the original?
Yeah, there's a video for both. The video for that is done. The video for yours needs just like a little more work.
That's what's up. Well, you did an incredible video for us in 2015. Brian from My Fight Dragons.
Yeah. If I Were a Jedi.
We filmed it here, and that video is amazing, and I think it deserves 1 billion views. And I wanted to thank you on the podcast for busting your booty and putting in a lot of favors and making a great video to promote that record.
That was just an amazing. I mean, there were so many. We bought a viola off of Amazon.
And then we returned it?
That's
the cool thing about Amazon Prime. If you need props for a video.
No, that's not. We don't do that.
We didn't do it. That video got 20,000 views. That's not bad, man. It's not bad.
I love that video. I think that song's adorable.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool because you had fans play music, like instruments on that.
Correct. There was a Kickstarter level where you could be on the record.
That was neat.
Yeah, it was cool. And then we had that video's special. And I remember the publicists we hired were like, all right, here we go. And everyone was just like inundated with Star Wars content when The Force Awakens came out.
Right.
But whatever. It's all good. It was tight.
I thought it was great. I liked we didn't have the stormtrooper folks.
Oh, that's a story.
That is a great story.
It's still a story. So the 501 Legions are like these people who dress up as stormtroopers and they will like come hang out at MC Chris shows or come on stage with Weird Al, and they're all over the country.
Well, they go to they're actually great. They go to hospitals and charity events. I actually did. So after we did this video, and I had known this guy Rex in Chicago.
Yeah.
He hit me, or he made a post on Facebook and said, "Hey, I'm looking for someone to play Santa." And I was going to opening night of Thor Ragnarok, and saw that Facebook post, saw that it had been 6 days, and I responded. I was like, "Hey, if I know this is tomorrow morning, but if you need somebody, I'd totally do it."
Not Santa.
Yeah, to play Santa at 5. He said you had to be somewhere at 5 a.m. So I come out of Thor Ragnarok like an 11 p.m. show, and it's 1 a.m. and he's texted me and he said, "Yeah, if you can do it, we need a Santa. Be at the airport at 5 a.m." And I went, "Oh, what did I just agree to?" So I show up to O'Hare Airport at 5 a.m. Walk in.
Are you flying somewhere, or are you just hanging out at the airport?
No, we're just hanging out at the airport. It's for Gary Sinise has a charity, but basically what they do is every single year, it's like the Miracle Express, the Something Express. I'm a total jerk for forgetting this, but it's super cool. Gold Star families are families where one of the parents has been killed in action, and so it's for Gold Star families. They get to, Gary Sinise's charity flies them to some destination, Disney World or whatever, for a Christmas vacation. He partnered with American Airlines, and they had the whole plane decorated and whatever. And so they have a parade through the airport. And so what happened was I get to the airport. They put me in this amazing Santa costume. Homeland Security didn't search me at all. They go, "You're okay, Santa." And I went, "What? No, I'm literally in a costume with a fake belly and you're just waving me through. I'm the guy I'm not flying anywhere, but you do not wave me through, pat me
They
down."
go, "Rudolph's waiting on the flight."
I didn't show an ID, nothing.
Meanwhile, you probably did wear a big suit. Yeah.
So I don't really know what this is still at this point. And I come in, there's not a lot of people there. And then slowly all these families start arriving with their kids, and the kids start coming up to me and they're asking me what can I get them for, or I'm asking them what do you want for Christmas? Cause I'm in the role and I'm hoing. Ho, ho, ho.
Do you have to write it down? How do the elves know?
They make a list, you check it twice.
All right. That's tight. So what's up with the 501s? Were there too?
So yeah, all the stormtroopers there are kind of in like holiday versions of their costumes.
With Santa.
With Santa. And then all the military bands show up. And all these military people show up.
Imagine people at 5 a.m. just trying to catch a flight. They're like, "Great."
It was
Santa.
Then I'm told that there's a parade through the airport to the gate.
Family.
Led by Santa and all the kids. So it hits me really, really hard, man. I've got all these kids that are like, their parent has died. I'm going to like tear up. Their parent has died, like, I don't know, in like the last year. And they're looking at me as Santa. So like, I can't screw this up. Like, if I screw this up at all, these kids, like, it was way too much. So I'm like tearing up, leading this parade through the airport. Everybody at every gate is clapping for these people.
5 a.m.
I walk all the kids onto the plane. I ho them, whatever. Then they take me down onto the tarmac at the airport. And with Mrs. Claus arm in arm, and we wave as the plane like.
They're all going to one place?
Yeah.
Where?
I think they were going down to Houston or something, or Texas.
Who cares? Just send them somewhere.
Normally it's really cool. I think that year it kind of sucked. I don't know. Last year, they literally went to Disney World last year. The Something Express, the
Polar?
Not the Polar Express. Shoot.
That's okay.
Yeah,
the Snowball Express.
The Snowball Express.
I Googled it. That's amazing. Okay, so, and imagine like losing. Some of the wars of the past 20 years have been like of dubious.
To say the least.
I mean, that's tragic. And all the PTSD and.
Yeah.
That's cool you did that, man. I think.
That was the door was for that. For me to do that was opened by meeting those stormtroopers on If I Were a Jedi.
So what happened was we hadn't, for some reason, I emailed them, and for all summer, like that was the year Zombie Dinosaur LP came out. So I was doing Warped Tour and like huge press campaign and all this stuff. We're emailing them all summer, no response for months. And then get to your house and like, well, we have a Princess Leia. We have your friend Nolan, a dancer who played Yoda. We have all this costumes we ordered and no stormtroopers. So I'm like, well, let's just say, so we email them, say, all right, the shoot's tomorrow. Call time is 7 a.m. See you then. Thanks a lot. Yep. We're like, whatever.
As if they had agreed to this.
It was kind of like a joke. I was kind of like a joke, like, whatever. Who cares? Like, we just like, and then they're like, all right.
We had nothing to lose at that point.
Then we hear back from them like an hour later.
They're like, yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
It's like you just assume it's going to happen, and it does. Shout out to the Chicago 501s, and they were awesome. And they brought all their equipment. And they did it for free?
They did it for free, yeah. No, and they were awesome. Adrian and Rex, they came out, and they... and Knowlton played the other one because we had a stormtrooper costume. So we had 2 stormtroopers. Yeah, they were just amazing people. And then I got to meet all the rest of the 501.
Because they saw a post on Facebook or something, right?
Yeah, because I saw the post for that, Go Be Santa. So and they made me an honorary member. I have a patch over there. And I'm really kind of proud of it because they were just so freaking cool. So I swear on your podcast.
You can. You don't like episodes 7, 8, or 9.
Not much, no.
But you love episodes 4, 5, and 6.
I would say I love episodes 4, 5, and 6, and Rogue One.
And you have a gigantic Yoda thing that you stole from a movie theater.
It's like 2 stories of Yoda.
2-story Yoda from episode 2.
Size. Picture this. It says size matters not, except on an IMAX screen, and then it's got Yoda with his lightsaber, basically standing over a bunch of buildings from the United States.
He's 20 feet tall, basically.
It's amazing. Yeah. And you can Google it. There are pictures of the design.
This thing's worth thousands. And you stole it from a movie theater when you were in college.
It was rolled up in the corner, and I walked out the front. I walked down the long hallway, walked out the front door of the theater, put it on the roof of my friend's car, and we just drove off.
You know what it was? You saw it at the bottom at Lucasfilm, and then you unwrapped it in a park, and you're like, oh my gosh. Yep. So, well, that maybe did or did not happen. That story is actually
just for novelty purposes. It didn't happen.
Where did the new Star Wars movies miss the mark, in your opinion? And why didn't you like the Solo movie?
Actually... Well, so the Solo movie has a different problem of the other ones. The Solo movie just has prequel disease, which is that you try and explain stupid stuff that you don't have to explain. So
you didn't like Captain Marvel?
That one was... I didn't mind Captain Marvel. I actually like Captain Marvel. I think... So the issue with Solo is they did stuff like Han Solo's character, his entire character is that he's this smuggler, right? And he's very selfish at the start of Star Wars. And so... One of the things that we joke at on our song Greedo Shot First is kind of about this. And so Han Solo was a drug runner. He was a spice smuggler in the original films who was just out to make money for himself. And one of the worst things that Disney did, which is kind of like what Lucas did with making Greedo Shoot First, is that they made Han no longer a spice smuggler. He was a fuel smuggler. Presumably to make it more for kids.
Because spice is like drugs?
Spice is heroin. Historically, heroin from the east to the west was like spices.
In the Star Wars original?
No, I mean more like in the real world. And so George Lucas was riffing on that with Han's...
As a spice smuggler.
Spice smuggler, right. It was heroin, basically. Opium.
Okay.
Or space opium.
Right.
And so, the big problem with Greedo shooting first was that it undermined this character of Han, that he was like selfish swashbuckler, didn't care, rebel. This Disney further did that, further sort of cut his character off at the knees by changing him from a drug smuggler, which I just saw Rise of the Skywalker the other night, and they made Poe a spice smuggler. So why couldn't Han stay? There's no consistency. Disney did no consistency between them.
Okay, so that's the song. Like we're trolling. We're taking the perspective that the prequel reboot recontextualization is correct, and we're diss people who like the original Star Wars. That's kind of the joke.
Yeah, so in the song we're basically celebrating the worst bits of Star Wars as if they're fantastic.
And then you talk about how Kirchner's Empire Strikes Back is horrible.
It's terrible. It's one of the worst. How could you argue it's I was talking to a guy today on Reddit who was
You're being ironic, by the way, just in case, just to be clear.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back is unequivocally the best Star Wars film.
No non-controversial statement has ever been brought up with. I was talking to this guy on Reddit today. I'm very curious what you're going to say.
Oh, he was telling me about how Attack of the Clones was the best Star Wars movie. And it's generally regarded as like one of the two worst.
That's episode 3 or 2?
2, yeah.
Have you watched the Clone Wars much? Because there's so much there to like figure out.
So I've been watching I'm in season 1 still, and I've been using one of the episode order guides that's on the internet.
Did you watch the movie, the animated movie? That takes place before
with
season
Ahsoka
1.
and stuff.
Yeah.
I watched Star Wars Rebels, which is really fun. It's a kid's show.
Is Rebels after?
It takes place after Clone Wars.
Okay, and then they're doing a new Disney Plus. Shout out to Disney Plus. They're doing a new Clone Wars.
They need that shout out.
Yeah, they're doing good. Aren't you impressed by Mandalorian?
I love The Mandalorian. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things back to why I didn't like the sequel trilogy, because I talked about this. So we have our Star Wars song on the album, but at the end of the album, I did the title track, which I actually had the album finished, and then I kind of got the idea for a track called Nerdvana, which sort of talks about this situation we're in right now, which I think is kind of very precarious, is that nerd became the dominant culture in society. So we all grew up kind of maligned and outsiders, and now we're the cool kids. Like, if you don't watch Star Wars, you're weird. That type of situation.
And every rapper became a nerdcore rapper.
That's true. You've got Will Smith's kid doing a song about Goku.
Lil Nas X, rap. The original Old Town Road is a Red Dead Redemption rap. You know, like all that stuff, and it's dope. It's dope because hip hop reflects like the zeitgeist of the fusion of culture and youth culture, and so Nerdvana. Tell me more about this song. That's interesting.
So on the one hand, that's awesome, right? We won. We're there, like we're in the winner's circle. That's cool. But then when you look at some of the fallout from that, and so as the song goes on, it's first of all, it's like the first verse is kind of, I'm talking about, hey, this is really cool, but also like, what do I do now? I have this line like, what am I supposed to do? They're wearing my backpack, which is kind of talking, or a line that says that, and it's kind of talking about like, oh, well, if Jaden Smith is writing a song about Goku, then like, what am I doing as a nerd rapper that's unique and interesting? Because he's covering that, right?
And the whole thing, and being in our late 30s, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it relevant to be rapping about 80s pop culture?
Exactly. Like,
Probably not.
no. And so then verse 2 is kind of about where that's gone wrong in pop culture. And one of the things is I looked at that second Star Wars film, and I know disliking that film became kind of associated with online trolls and whatever, but I think it's an extremely poorly made film. And I think there's stuff in it that doesn't fit with Star Wars and doesn't fit with what it's about. I think it's very sort of pro-authoritarian. You have a volunteer army where the top military commanders are taking everybody to their death and refusing to even tell, their top commander.
Remind me, is this the Empire or the Rebels?
These are the rebels. These are the good guys. So these are the good military commanders. It's Leia and Holdo, and they're refusing to tell Poe any information.
It's episode 2.
This is.
Or are you talking episode 8?
This is 8.
I see. Okay. I see where you're going. I thought you were talking about episode 2 for some reason.
And so the lesson that he has to learn is that you always obey orders no matter what and never question them, which doesn't fit with like who Leia was. Leia would have questioned those orders, young Leia. So it was stuff like that where characters didn't match up, values didn't match up. There's a scene at the end where Rose stops Finn from saving everyone, and then tells him that she selfishly did that because she wants to save what she loved. Well, that's what caused Anakin to go to the dark side. Just all that stuff, and then kind of what they did to Luke.
Saving someone, trying to save someone at any cost can lead you to the dark side.
Correct.
Trying to destroy death.
Yeah, you basically do it for selfish reasons. And they took took everything that was good and a good value in the original trilogy is suddenly in The Last Jedi a bad value, and it's very nihilist and authoritarian, and I don't know. I talked about that. I talked about Zack Snyder and his sort of objectivist take on Superman, where Superman is suddenly selfish, where he took an icon of altruism and turned him into a objectivist jerk.
Spoiler alert, but like the idea that there's hope at the end of episode 9. A new one, you might say. A newer one.
I did see episode 9 this week, and I just don't even know if I could care. It was so cartoon. The Last Jedi. So here's what I've always pictured on The Last Jedi, right?
Okay.
Rian Johnson's the director, and I just imagine the only way I think you could make that movie is if, I think in 1983, I assume his mom remarried and he had a new dad and 3 older brothers.
Did this has happened to the director?
I honestly believe that this is the only way. This had to have happened.
Okay.
Did it? I don't know. But this had to have happened for him to make that movie. So here's what happened. It's right before Empire Strikes Back comes out.
Okay.
Rian Johnson is in his stepdad's home. His mom has remarried. He has 3 stepbrothers. They're all older. And he's so excited to go see Empire Strikes Back, because who wouldn't be?
Right. The greatest sequel of all time, some might say.
Probably.
Yeah.
So his dad goes out with the 3 brothers. They go see it. They don't take him, because why would they? He's the stepbrother. And then they come home and they tell him that Vader is Luke's father.
Okay.
And he's heartbroken, and he waits 30 years to take his revenge out and just ruins the character of Luke Skywalker, not just for them, but for every single...
In what way, specifically?
So the entire point of the original trilogy, right, is that the Jedi failed. Why did the Jedi fail? The Jedi Order failed.
Because the Empire was able to outsmart them. And because it's stronger, right? And because they're disorganized.
And basically hubris.
It's like the Democratic Party.
I'm just kidding. They cut all emotion out of their order, and they had all this hubris about who could be a Jedi, and
they were gatekeeping.
They were gatekeeping. They were overconfident, and it blinded them to Anakin, Anakin basically needed some mental health.
So this is the 2016 election you're talking about, also.
There's elements of that in there too. Right. So Anakin,
political Star Wars.
That's one of the best parts about it. I mean,
right.
So you've got the Jedi Order, right, which fails because they aren't able to help Anakin. They aren't able to. It's almost like give him that mental health, psychology type stuff. Anakin wanted friends and family and emotion, and they said no, that's bad, and they lost him to the dark side because they wouldn't give him any help.
But did he explicitly say, "I want to bring my mom back"? And they're like, "You can't. She's gone." He he wasn't able to admit his deep, like, biggest thing and his biggest desire. And it was kind of like sleight of hand that they encouraged him to kill those little young Jedi, right? Like they tricked him.
Yeah, Darth Sidious tricked him.
But he could have been more clear, and they'd be like, "Sorry, your mom can't come back, but maybe through the Force you can talk to her ghost." Like in episode whatever, Princess Leia has memories of Amidala and Anakin, right? But those are because she can connect with the Force. So maybe if he's able to be more in touch with his emotions. So you're saying the Jedi's austerity is what led him down the path of darkness. And that was, you're saying hubris because they were not communicating clearly.
Yeah, I think there's an allegory there to like the Catholic Church, right? Or some of these...
Or toxic masculinity.
Yeah, and these real life, like this. So they're a religious order. So there's an allegory there to the problems you see from a restrictive religious order and what comes out of that in the Catholic Church. It's that they have problems with sexual abuse.
Right.
In the Jedi Order, it was that like Anakin didn't have anybody to help him deal with his emotions and whatever. So they ended up basically allowing like Space Hitler to come to power. That's how the prequels end because of this. So in the original trilogy, Luke's journey is basically, he of course doesn't go the way of the dark side, right?
Right.
the Emperor tries to say, hey, strike me down with your hate, strike me down with your fear, or whatever. But the other thing is that I think people miss with the original trilogy is that Luke was also rejected the teachings of the Jedi Order. If you watch Empire, there's a scene where Obi-Wan and Yoda basically beg Luke. They're like, look, don't go help your friends. Don't go do this. Stay here and train. The only way to do it is to cut all emotional tie with everything, because that's how we do it. And that's how they're like, that's how you win. Don't go help your friends. And Luke's like, nah. He's like, there's an in-between place where I can have emotion.
Middle way, Siddhartha.
Exactly.
Right.
Where I can have emotion and I can have friendships and connection, but I can also still have this religious whatever. And then...
So wait, so are you saying that the Empire is all about friendships and connections and emotion?
Well, so the Jedi thought that the Sith were basically this, like, that's where you had all your crazy emotions and your anger and all that stuff.
This Bacchanalian, like, id. And then the Jedi, the super ego.
Correct.
Right.
Luke was kind of like, hey, you need a little bit of both. But, and so the way he wins is basically he loves his friends. He loves his father so much that he lays down his weapon. He's like, you know what? I can't take down my dad, but I love him. And he doesn't forego that attachment.
Right.
He leans on love, and that's where they win. So
Vader dies because,
saving him.
Right.
And so my problem with
Luke.
My problem with Luke in The Last Jedi,
Okay.
and this comes back to like where I talk about it in the song, is that Luke looks at his nephew who is lost, and Luke sees that there's a danger his nephew might go dark, and he just tries to kill his nephew in his sleep. The guy who wouldn't give up on his friends, who did it despite his mentors telling him, don't go help your friends and have an attachment. And he just tries to kill his nephew and then gives up and runs away. That's not the same character. There's no way it's fundamental to who he is. So I talked about that. And then the third verse of the song talks about kind of all the other toxic stuff that's come out of nerdery.
Remind me who Luke's nephew is.
Luke's nephew is Kylo Ren, Ben Solo.
Because it's Leia's son, right?
Correct.
Right. So he wants to kill... So wait, he kills Kylo Ren? And we're doing mad spoilers.
Yeah, if you haven't seen The Last Jedi, don't listen to this point. He tries to kill Kylo Ren in his sleep and then stops. Tries to take a lightsaber to him.
In Last Jedi.
In The Last Jedi.
And it's like in Hamlet, he can't kill... I think it's he can't kill Claudius when he's praying because that's like forbidden and that he should have done it. So
you're better at Shakespeare than me.
Well, it's all very much the same things. That's interesting, man. So wait, so you're saying Luke couldn't kill him?
He couldn't, but it ended
But that's
up...
true to his character because he puts
he
family
would
first.
never have gotten to that point because he would have worked through it, and then he never would have run away and let his nephew become Space Hitler again and undo everything he had fought for.
But that's Luke's tragic flaw is his loyalty.
So he wouldn't...
friends and family.
Correct. And so he wouldn't have run away and just lived on an island as a hermit. He would have stopped the monster he created, or at least worked to do so.
I see. Well, but there's also the thing about Luke's character arc is like, as we get older, we become more safe and conservative and walled off. So I felt like him being isolated on this island with these, what are they called? The Quarks? The
Porgs.
The Porgs. Which was a short-lived merch.
I could have believed it if they, explained that in some way.
Versus,
Like that's like Ace Ventura is now a quiet librarian, and he doesn't gyrate or say crazy catchphrases, right? And it's 30 years later, and you're just supposed to, like, without any explanation, believe
what
that's...
gets Luke on the island?
It's because he tried to murder Kylo Ren, and then Kylo Ren woke up in his sleep and got really pissed and killed all of Luke's students. And so Luke just says, you know what? I'm just going to walk away from everything.
I see. So you're saying that it's not indicative of his character because...
Not remotely, so far off that you need to give me something to explain it. And I actually think there were ways to do it. Han never liked the Jedi religion. And he could have said, hey, I don't want you to train my kid. I don't want you to train my kid. And then the kid goes bad and Luke feels terrible because it breaks up Han and Leia's marriage.
Did Han say, don't train my son?
No, but that would have fit because he thought it was a hokey religion in the original trilogy. So it would have been true to Han's character.
But he reveals to Han that he's Han's son in The Force Awakens, right?
Correct.
And then you know what happens next.
No.
I can't
Actually,
say.
that was revealed to me before I saw the movie. I was so mad.
Yeah, you told me that.
So anyway, so in the third verse of Nerdvana,
Right.
I kind of switched to talking more about like some of the dark other things that's happened with nerd stuff, where you get into like Russia hacking the election or Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg and sort of like, hey, we won, but oh my God, why are all our heroes, right, the guys that rose to the top, why are they all, like libertarian psycho or sociopaths like Zuckerberg?
Right.
Just doing these like why does that guy need another $1 billion so much that he's willing to sell our private data to Russia to hack our election? They're like, don't you have enough? You were like a millennial Obama kid. What happened to you?
Yeah, well, it's Vader-esque. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like this idea that our mortality and our finite capacities as bags of flesh and wind, to have that be kind of obviated and avoided through like power, money,
Yes.
love, whatever, not love, maybe lust, all this stuff is so like enticing, and especially as we get older. And that's like that's like the whole, that's the common tragedy. And you see that in like companies like Facebook. So I feel like we should play Nerdvana, not Greedo Shot first, which y'all should look up. But this is good topics because I think people need to hear. It sounds like you're dropping some real knowledge through your comedy nerdy rap project.
That song was kind of my thesis for where I wanted to go next with nerdcore, maybe. Where this sense that like, okay, let's discuss how to win. Like, we're the dominant culture. We've got all this other stuff coming. Like, so what should it be? Like, what should our ideals be? Because I think we don't have that now. And so I sort of think that I would like to see nerdcore sort of like project this, like, what does it mean to be like a nerd or like a good nerd going forward? Because there's some real bad ones.
Have you heard Frenelet's new EP?
No, I don't know.
Newest. It's called Net Split. I guess it's like 3 years old now.
Yeah,
But
I did.
He has that song Bad Nerd, which is kind of about what you're talking about. Similar theme. Don't be a bad nerd. Be a good nerd.
Yeah, like be a white hat, not a black hat.
That's what's up. What were some of your memories of the best Nerdapaloozas? And can you talk about Chozo and Hex Carter and all that stuff just briefly for people? Because this is always a topic of folklore on this podcast.
Yeah.
And you were there.
I was there, I think the first one. I have a framed poster.
Who were some of the acts?
Whitey Cracker.
Ooh, podcast guest. Former podcast guest.
Major?
Former podcast guest.
That's funny. There was some drama there with our sets.
What happened?
So I wanted to do...
Major's tight, by the way. I did a song with him called High Rule.
Okay.
Remix. Go ahead.
He was supposed to go after me.
Okay.
And I went up to him at the show, and Bryce's flight was late. And Bryce and I were going to perform Geek Squad, I think. One of our tracks that we did together. And Bryce was 10 minutes out. My set time was 5 minutes out. And I kind of said, hey, Major, would you switch with me? And man, he freaked out.
He wasn't trying to... Well, because why? Because it would have been less people later?
I don't know. Maybe. I just didn't think it was... I didn't think we were... Either of us were anything. But he was like... He's like, I guess I could do it, but man, like you're really screwing my set time. Like we don't have to do it. And he's like, no, we can do it. And then we agreed to do it, and we got set up to do it. And then I think he gave me like some real shit for it after that.
But I'm sure it was.
No, it was fine. But it just at the time, it
where was it? Like, at the hotel in Orlando?
Oh, was it some like cafe thing?
Oh gosh, and then that was 2006, 7,
something like that. This couple came up to me and they said, we flew all the way from Arizona to see you at this. And I said, what the fuck is wrong with you?
You said that to them?
literally that.
They found you through MySpace or something.
Yeah. And I mean, it was such a flattering thing, but I think that's the first time something like that happened where I went, you spent however 2 plane tickets, $500-$700 on plane tickets and hotels, and bought tickets to this festival because it was the closest I had ever been to you. And I was the act that you were dying to see. Like, that is one of my like top 5 probably like moments of
That's dope, man.
Just cool
fan love.
Yeah, just grateful for this thing that you stupidly started putting on the internet.
And you know, this tour has been interesting, like this Baby Yoda tour with Schaefer and Double Clicks, because it's realizing that the nerdcore fans are truly special because, and I'm sure you recognize this when you play shows, the cool thing about nerdcore is that the barrier between stage and audience is taken away, right? That's punk rock in a way. That's like hip hop in its collaborative essence. And I think people are drawn to that in this world of curated media, corporate control. The goal is to reach the fans and have them feel connected. And a small show, a small festival like Nerdapalooza was ill in that way because it brought us all together. It let us hang out. But then they tried to grow it way too fast, and it exploded. They tried to book They Might Be Giants, and they blew their budget and lawsuits, and it was just like a nightmare. And it was like, I think if they hadn't done that, it would still be going. What do you think?
Isn't that kind of like a metaphor for what happened to a lot of us in that like 2007 to 2009, where we got some attention and we all thought like, this is it. We're going to be, we had 2 documentaries. Like, we're at Comic-Con rapping on a boxing ring.
You were wearing my shirt in that video?
I was.
Thank you, Garbe.
I always rep you, man, because you always give me free shirts.
That's what's Hey,
you're in the t-shirt business.
That's what's up. There was a lot of infighting, and I think that has gone away, and now it's more about the content, the stories.
They were really mad at me.
Who's they?
I think Hex Carter and some of the guys who's was it Robo Rob? No, not Robo Rob, but Rob. What's his name?
Tobias.
Rob Tobias. So they like sprung for hotel rooms, and so I stayed at the hotel room with my buddy Chris and my girlfriend Kelly, and we were very good to the room, but they had just sort of like, they had checked people into rooms, but then they had just mixed up the key card, so you didn't necessarily get the room you were checked into. Well, somebody watched like a bunch of pay-per-view porn and trashed the room that they had sort of like.
Do you know who this was?
Me. I have my suspicions, but no.
Let's go. Who?
I mean, who were the big partiers down there? I've suspected Bryce. I don't know for sure.
Okay. And then you had to pay for it?
Well, so after we checked out, they called me up and they were like, hey, like, we paid you a little bit of money and we paid for your hotel room, like, and you trashed it and ordered all this porn. And I was like, no, I didn't. And they were like, yes, you did. And I'm like, no, I didn't. You guys messed up the keys or something, whatever it was.
You single-handedly bankrupted Nerdapalooza, Ben.
So I think they blacklisted me for the next couple of years because it wasn't until different people came up that they like took control of it, that they booked me again.
Well, Chozo always really liked you.
Yeah, Chozo, but he got more control, I think, like 2 or 3 years later, because we didn't get booked again for another 2 or 3 years, and then we did the last couple.
Yeah. It was, gosh, some great hangs, great collaborations. And, I wonder if anything like that will ever return. I don't know. I think the South by Southwest thing they do with the Nerdcore.
That's very cool. I've always wanted to play that. I never get picked, but
you should talk to Front a lot. He's booking it.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to do it.
Any Nerdcore rapper who wants to be on South by Southwest, email MC Front a lot or tweet him because he definitely wants to hear from me. No, but hit him up. He's in charge of booking it now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would love to do that.
That's what's up. And then PAX, the PAXes, and then MagFest, and then that DEF CON.
I've never done DEF CON.
I did it 2009.
Those guys party.
They party, and they will hack your phone.
Great.
And destroy your life.
Oh, man.
Ben Garbe, so let's plug. Where can these wonderful, amazing Nerdcore fans find your music? And, The Revenge of the Nerds, that's a great video, too.
I love that.
That's your most played song with Beefy, you, and me.
That is, yeah.
On the former Fat
I love
Boys.
that song.
That song's ill, and that video's good, and the kid who plays you is good.
I love it. I guess one other thing that I did recently that sort of took me out of my comfort zone a lot is I released a book of poetry. So it's...
How did I not know this?
I just released it on Tuesday.
Congratulations.
No, I released it on Valentine's. Well, I didn't know if it was going to come out on Valentine's Day, but Amazon got it out on that day.
So what is it? Digital or what?
It's just on Kindle. It's called An Enviable Instagram is the title of
That's
the
tight.
book.
An enviable Instagram.
Yeah.
Here, let's look it up. That's awesome.
It's by my name, Benjamin Garbe. It's not. I meant to do it under a dinosaur, but they kind of made that hard to work as a pseudonym. So I write the poems as a dinosaur, but it's listed under.
And so this is a poetry book. Okay, check that out.
Yeah. So do you mind if I read the title poem?
Please do.
So it's called An Enviable Instagram, and it goes: Your life is beautiful. Your life is perfect. Your life is everything that mine isn't. You have the things I wish I did. Things, lovers, family, friends. You have all the hearts, but you're always sad, and that I don't understand. Because I would trade my boring days, my Netflix nights, trade my entire life to have your likes. You see, I don't understand how you can be so sad when you have what we all want to have, an enviable Instagram. So, I don't know. It's like
poem,
little
man.
poems and lyric pieces that I couldn't turn into an actual song and that type of stuff. And then some lyrics to songs that either never got finished or are just kind of like long form poems anyway.
That's cool because you are in the business of image curation and video editing, and you create this reality, and we all create this reality together. And it's special to have friends across the country. You know, you were at my wedding. We've been friends for years. I love when I get to see you. You're always
That's
so
the
much
cool
fun.
part of it, right? The scary part
Yeah.
is when you have like that sadness that comes from looking and like being not like, hey, there's Lars and I wish I was there with him doing this thing and it's cool that I get to see these doing it. But then you get this like envy or this like, is my life as good as their life? So
I think your life's pretty amazing, man.
I love my life.
You're a baller. And you're a good host. You have a good heart, and you give a lot to the community. And you're a good guy, and you're also wise, and you care. And I think you're talented. But anyway, whatever. Enough compliments.
Well, I think I learned a lot about that from you.
Hey,
No, I would like to pay you a compliment because I think one of the things that you taught me when I first hit you up on, I know you said you met me on MySpace, but I definitely hunted you down after the CD single came to the radio station. And you were so nice. And when I eventually met you, and you like agreed to do songs with me and stuff like that, you just kind of, you didn't have any of the attitude. You didn't have any of the gatekeeping. You were just like, hey, you want to make music like me? I want to be friends with you. I want to do it with you. And I can be a little bit of a jerk sometimes and be like, oh, that guy sucks or whatever. And I sort of learned that like, no, that guy sucks right now.
Right.
But if you encourage that, if you encourage those people, if you show love that, and you're inclusive, and you're like the most inclusive, you're inclusive to the, it's just obnoxious, but it was a great like lesson for me to learn in terms of how to sort of succeed at least a little bit in this.
well, you're a great collaborator. You've worked with a lot of people, and I think what's great. Thanks for that compliment, by the way. That means a lot. Thank you. Your stuff always sounds good. It's mixed well. You don't put out badly recorded music, and that's important.
I obsess about that probably too much. That's why it takes too long.
Well,
I don't know,
that's why your work stands the test of time.
well, thank you.
And there's a funny story about we played Chicago. You opened, or some small town outside of Chicago in front of on stage goes, all right, after party, and gave your address.
The Abbey Pub in Chicago.
Okay, and then it just everyone from the show showed up at your house, and you were a good sport. We went hard all night.
I give my roommates a lot of more credit for that because people didn't leave for days. I still don't know. I mean, he just shouted out the address for one time. I don't know how people remembered it.
Well, I think I saw him at the merch booth writing the address down. For people.
Okay, so there was more to it.
So that house, man, a lot of parties at that house, and it was always a hub for touring.
Thank God for the Great Recession in 2008 killing the real estate market, because we had this. For those who didn't come party at this house, we were able to rent this brand new like 4,000 square foot house with an unfinished basement and like 3-car garage as a bunch of 20 something idiots straight out of college. We paid $500 a person, had 5 bedrooms, 4 full baths, and we just let whoever come crash there.
It was a nice house. Then what happened? Eventually, you were the last one there.
I was the last one there. The guy kept lowering the rent for me, and then he was just waiting for the real estate market to kind of like come back.
And he sold it.
He ended up selling it, but he built it, I think, for 800,000, 900,000 or something like that, and it ended up selling it for like 400. The cookie cutter version of the house.
Really?
Yeah, that he built 2 on spec, and his plan was to change this whole neighborhood. And the cookie cutter version of the house next to us, the family just said, "We're so far underwater on our mortgage, we're just going to let it foreclose." And it went for like 300,000 in foreclosure, which I don't know.
That's crazy.
I wish I'd figured out a way to buy it, because now it's gone way back up to like almost $1 million.
Wow. I mean, it was the first time having a musician friend on tour who had like not just a house, a bomb house that we could all stay in comfortably, and a basement where stuff was recorded and videos were made. And
when everybody who ever lived there, when they would move out, it was all just like junky college furniture, but they'd be like, "I don't want my bed anymore." I'd be like, "Just leave it. People will come and stay."
Yeah, it's kind of cool, man. Do you still have the Roger Rabbit things I left?
I do. They're on my shelf.
They are?
Over there. Yeah, Roger and Jessica. Yeah.
That's what's up. That's awesome. It was like a way of we'd all leave little pieces of our lives there, and it was cool coming to your apartment now and seeing photos from the video shoot and our trips to Disney World and thank you note on the fridge.
We've had a weird amount of adventures over a decade of doing more than a decade. What? 15 years probably. When did we meet?
2006, so almost 14 years. So for not having lived in the same town ever. But yeah, I remember I saw you in LA that one time when you rented that bomb car.
That's crazy.
That's what's up. Where can people follow you? Where's your primary social media destination? Holler.
I think I use Instagram the most. You can follow me. The official account is either former Fatboys, or I have my personal, which is at I Wish I Were a Dinosaur. And then there's for the other musical project, it's I Wish You Were a Dinosaur is the official.
So wait, so former Fatboys is on Instagram, and then I Wish I Were a Dinosaur. What's the one you posted like when we went to see Sonic tonight?
I Wish I Were a Dinosaur. That's
okay, and I'm following that.
Yeah.
Sonic was good, right?
I like Sonic. I thought, honestly, it was the most fun. I saw Sonic for the first time and The Rise of Skywalker, and if you told 14-year-old me that the Sonic movie would be way better than the Star Wars movie, I would have punched you in the face, but it was.
Like Dr. Robotnik. I thought it was amazing. We walked out there and I go, that was phenomenal. And Schaefer goes, phenomenal? Well, but it was pretty.
I don't think Shaver was on our mind level on it, because we were enjoying.
We were loud.
Yeah.
And we were probably a little obnoxious, but for a
you
Thursday
had
night showing,
you had a large deep dish pizza with you?
We snuck in a whole pizza into the, and the $8 sodas.
Yeah, just a pizza party at Sonic.
It was tight. Ben Garbe, thank you. We'll play Nerdvana from the former Fatboys album, Nerdvana. Is your stuff on Bandcamp too?
The latest album is not on Bandcamp, but thank you for reminding me to put it on there.
That's what's up. Well, be sure to follow former Fatboys and check out our collabs, Revenge of the Nerds and the song We Have Arrived and
Eating Pizza, Hunting for Ghosts.
With Richie Branson.
That's my favorite one, with Richie Branson. Richie was so cool to do that. And Reading Rainbow, we done that one too.
Jeez, we did like 6 songs.
Yeah.
What's this? I Wish You a Merry Christmas 2.0.
No, I don't do that one.
What is this?
It's just my old Christmas album.
One of your most played songs is this Joker thing.
Yeah, every Christmas. I was the first. A
lot of plays, dude.
I was the first person to put a song up where the Joker sings Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin Laid an Egg. And so every Christmas, the YouTube video has like 600,000 views, and it starts blowing up my inbox again. Same thing on
you
Spotify.
Doing the joke, so featuring the Joker. It's not actually a Joker.
Yeah, so I kind of do like a bad Mark Hamill-esque Joker.
What's Rooster Doodle Doo?
Rooster Doodle Doo. So one weekend, I realized that people were buying ringtones a lot on the iTunes store. So it's the most money I've ever made off a record.
Featuring Justin Timberlake.
I basically bought a bunch of beats from those beat sellers that you could find on MySpace and whatever. Really cheap ones.
What's this? I bet I can rip ass for a whole song.
So I got in the booth and I said, I'm going to record 100 ringtones in the afternoon
You
on
said
a
you
Saturday.
made like $5,000 off it.
$5-10 somewhere in there, just selling ringtones. And I gave them all names that were somewhat similar to popular songs at the time. So there's like, I'm on a boat with T-Pain, is the title of a song. And iTunes let you preview this stuff.
Popcorn makes you pregnant. Eat it.
Popcorn makes you pregnant. Eat it. Popcorn makes you. That's it. That's the ringtone.
Lady officer, I'm Lou. You can't pull me, officer. So you do all these 2000s.
I did it in
references.
4 hours. I mixed it in another 2 hours. I put it on iTunes. I made $10,000.
You better wake up. This is your alarm.
This is your alarm. Na, na, na. There's a great rap about She-Ra. Like there were a few songs where I freestyled on that, and they were amazing. Space Dinosaur is a freestyle. Maria Gonorrhea. I actually like still enjoy that one. Booger. You got that booger hanging out. Booger hanging out is low key. I've always wanted to redo that well, but it's fantastic.
So I'm on a boat.
You got
Outro.
that booger
The
hanging
T-Pain
out.
experience is one where you're stuck on a lonely island. So if I'm on a boat, a lonely island. Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up. Please check out this stuff. And Ben, thank you for being on the MC Lars podcast. I wanted to have you on for a long time.
Whoa! I thought this was Call Her Daddy.
What?
This is the MC Lars podcast. I thought this was Call Her Daddy. I don't want to
What's
be
Call
on
Her
this.
Daddy?
You don't know Call Her Daddy?
What's up with it?
Oh, it's basically like this relationship podcast run by two chicks at Barstool Sports. It's like pickup artist stuff, like Tucker Max mixed with the pickup artist stuff of the game that was sort of popular in 2005, but now it's for like millennial women. But
How to pick up dudes?
It's or how to like bust your dude on social media for cheating, but then they also teach guys how to gaslight girls, so they sort of do the reverse and like work against themselves. They're hilarious.
So
It's like,
gaslighting is when you make someone feel like they're crazy.
yeah, and so they're like,
So it's like what the president's done with our country.
yes. Except I only think there's like 30% that's buying it. The
That's
rest,
good.
and they were already gaslit at the beginning. They didn't need any gaslighting, so he's just gaslighting.
This is not Call Her Daddy, but I just learned something. That's what's up.
Yeah, so that's a very popular podcast that's very different than this, and I thought that's what I was being booked on, but I got to talk to my agent.
Keep your eyes open for the Greedo Shop first video because Garbe's put a lot into this.
I have.
For 4 or 5 years, you've been working on it.
Yeah, we recorded it in 2015, the video.
2016. Because I remember I was renting
Oh, 2016.
Matt
yeah.
Milligan from Wheatus's apartment, and I recorded in the closet at his apartment when I first came back to New York.
Wrap the saga in a bow.
Yeah, it's tight, right?
You can play that song.
Did I write that verse?
Yeah.
Or you wrote for me.
I ghost wrote some of it. I guess you.
I think you wrote
I
the
would
whole
never
thing.
have revealed that.
You wrote my verse, though.
I didn't write all your verse.
Part of it.
There is stuff you wrote and there's stuff I wrote in there. I sort of like took what you wrote and then changed it into what I wanted it to be.
Keeping it moving. That's what's up.
But when you did his just listen for him going, wrap the saga in a bow. That's one of my favorite things in the world. You did that. That was
that my idea or yours?
Yeah, it was you.
That's what's up. Okay, this is Nerdvana, former Fat Boys. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Lars.
Friends for life.
Later, Chuckles.
I'm crying.
So this is it, huh? This is what we fought for. What our nerdcore grandfathers died for. Mordor, spilled blood on the playground floor for. Thought there'd be more, thought we'd ascend for sure. See, I'm just sitting here alone at 4:30, writing beats for, well, I don't know who for. Cause I don't think anyone's listening to me anymore. We're the dominant culture. We won the culture war, but we're the spoils of victory. Cause I'm bored. And no one's on the rhyme torrents board anymore. And these mainstream mumble rappers, every rapper abhors, are writing songs about Gundams and Voltrons, of course. Hey, that's our gimmick, give it back. That's my culture you said was whack. Now Will Smith's kid has a Goku rap, and you use it in trap. Why am I so mad? But what I'm supposed to rap about, they're wearing my backpack. Know all the stuff that got me beat up for liking. Everyone gets likes for liking, and who am I to fight it? This is what we wanted, Kirk to be our captain. A seat at the proverbial table, fork and napkins. A bunch of nerd Aaron Burrs. Have you heard our nerdy words? Of course you have. Now we run the rooms where it happens. We run the barcades and boardrooms, employ the kids who were laughing. But some's run, the force still ain't balanced. Tell me, are we marketing term. Remake the culture, water it down, and watch it all burn. Sell it to Chinese teens under authoritarian regimes. Disney's not for kids, it's a monopoly machine. To the lowest denominator we bow, the Twilight crowd. Star Wars was ours, but it's Transformers now. And we're complicit cause we pander to y'all. Guilty of writing lazy nerd raps cause we hope that they'd sell. Paint by numbers nostalgia from authentic-ish voices. Convince ourselves we were giving voices to the voiceless. Were we really? Maybe at first, but I'm not sure. I could write another space song verse, cause Luke is awful. Tried to kill his nephew in cold blood, then ran away, returned to ghost and taunted his godson. And Clark Kent when Ayn Rand Superman. Are we all nihilist, objectivist jerks in the end? It's an arcane art we're selling now, we're smart. Boba Fett got a vet, but he didn't get a heart. We ascended to the top, now I'm hanging by a thread. Tell me, is this Nerdvana? I don't think it is. A bunch of nerd rebels grew up forged in the fire, and first order of business built the same old empire. Best of intentions, internet inventions, social media, smartphones, Nirvana is ascendant, but leave a back door for Uncle Sam, no privacy protections. Every user's a dollar sign, ethics are useless conventions. Track every movement, click friend, conversation. Sell that data to anyone or any hostile nation. Beat and bully, we built a future so dangerous. A connected, siloed, spying, bullying apparatus. Drop the dopey, so we could just be evil. Libertarian, authoritarian, enemies of the people. Our robots ain't R2, they're not your friends. They wear black tees and plain jeans and get called in front of Congress. We were supposed to be smarter. Dying for a cause is harder than selling out. Nirvana won't exist without some martyrs.
Great song, Nerdvana by former Fat Boys, and that is from the album Nerdvana. Ben, good talking to you. Great interview. Next week, we have K Murdoch, a.k.a. Kyle Murdoch, a.k.a. one of Mega Ran's favorite collaborators, a.k.a. amazing DJ, teacher, producer, and friend. So tune in to that. I've got my Age of Ultron song dropping on Patreon next week. Still doing the live streams, the freestyles, the literary lessons, and of course, check out the show Friday, the Stage It show, which again is this Friday, and it's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon West Coast time. We'll see you then, and thank you again. I love you all. Hope you're safe. Hope you're doing okay. Stay positive. It's going to be okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.